Let's check in with the doc and look at things with a wider lens. Pastor Richards on OMG.
Hope this is Doc. Good morning, Doc.
Yeah, good morning, Bing.
Morning.
Hi, Pastor.
Hey,
Good morning.
good morning.
So wait, what happened to me? What
Why
happened to me,
are you
really? What happened to
such
me?
a jealous
What happened to me?
person? Is there a personality type for jealous people?
Because, good morning, Doc. Hey, good morning, Bing. Hi,
Oh my
Pastor.
God.
Hey, Daniel, how are you?
Pastor, I am as excited
Should I go
to
out the
receive
room?
you.
Daniel, as much as
Should I leave? Should I leave,
listen,
really?
Daniel, as much as I cautioned you against your diagnosis yesterday, I might have to rethink what I
Thank you.
because Daniel was trying to peg you and put you
Pastor,
I did.
Even Flex recognized it just now.
and then I was saying, Daniel, no, don't
Flex
put
was
him
like-
there, don't put him there. But
Pastor,
Daniel,
we have to do it. We will help him that way.
so you still think you're right?
We will. I am. You not hearing
Flex
this?
is leaving the room.
What about?
Did you tell me what you said to me about him yesterday?
But I told him the same day that we were doing that. I told him he fits that particular one. I was saying it repeatedly. So it wasn't a behind the back thing. He knew.
What am I chopping?
You're the one. No, you're that one that
My garbage
we
or
said.
something?
Oh my gosh.
Why would you all do
But
that?
based on our conversation on the days that are gone, on Monday and Tuesday, people are calling me and messaging me, and they want to know what's my take on them. I kid you not. I mean, they're like, okay, Pastor, tell me, come, just tell me, what is it? What is it you see in me? No kidding.
Bing's feelings are hurt.
I am hurt.
Oh, Bing.
What was that? I can't remember. I can't remember the
Histrionic?
personality. Yes.
Histrionic.
Yes.
Let's just leave it there, all right?
I am hot. How could you
Okay,
come in here? Hello, Pastor. Hi,
Bing,
Bing.
talk.
Hi, Pastor Danny. This is Danny. Hi, Pastor. Oh, Daniel, how are you this morning? What's that? What's that?
Wow.
Bing, Daniel, boy, Daniel. I don't know. I might have to reluctantly agree with you, honestly. But it's working for him. Okay, Daniel, let's look at bright side.
Pastor, you agree with me?
I mean,
You
it's
agree with
working
me?
for him.
You agree with me? You agree with me, Doc?
Bing. All right, talk to me. Because, Bing, you started me at 20 till 10 today.
I know. It's Daniel's fault.
Don't rush me off,
I actually had already messaged Pastor and apologized on your behalf, but you see now, you see,
Yeah, that's nice
you
of
see?
you. That's class right
So
there.
that's
Bing.
why
Come
you
on,
got
that's
the,
class.
that's why you got the great.
He didn't even receive the
greeting.
message
I
yet.
didn't know. I
That's
was
why you
busy
got the
doing other
greeting.
things, so I didn't check my messages.
Wow.
That's class right there, Bing.
I am hot. I am hot.
my
Yeah,
gosh.
that's class. Yeah, Bing. So what are we going to do at our time this morning? I mean, it's already limited as it is. And I'm only following the setup that we have. So, I mean, I could just jump in and say something, but we have a particular protocol. So let me go with that first. Let me
So
respect that.
Daniel and them feel that Cook the Silver is a losing candidate. I don't know
Wow.
these people.
Pastor, you need to come back in here and pray again.
Well, I prayed before I came on. I prayed before I come on the program. I pray that I would be wise. That's why I don't jump in different. I know I'm very purposeful. I know why I'm on the program, and I try to stick
Doc.
with that. Yeah, but to that issue that you go ahead, Bing.
Is it? I mean, there are persons out there who are not comfortable by the fact that Cook the Silver wanted to run an ULP ticket, but because he didn't get the nod, he bow out, he withdrew, and he catch feelings. And therefore, he left the party, and that he's now gone to the NDP as a form of, what's the term I'm looking for, spite.
Bing. Yeah.
And therefore, he got the nod, however, and that a lot of NDP people are not in support of that.
Bing, I have a lot to say about that. I don't have the time. But that in itself is a reflection of the nature of incensed politics, and there are so many layers to that onion. If we begin to peel them, we're going to be here all day. But I mean, I just try to get off a couple of layers of that. The first thing is it really speaks to the issue of what really differentiates one party from the other. If you can willy-nilly switch from one party and within the matter of 5 years switch to another party, Now, we suppose, we have this supposition that there are things that demarcate and delineate the ULP from the NDP, and that these things are substantial enough to cause one to decide I'm either going to be with the ULP tribe or I'm going to be with the NDP tribe. These things are premised on matters of party ideology, party philosophy, nuance between them, and party policies, because policies flow out of your ideology and your party philosophy. And I have said before, in terms of vetting candidates, and I don't know which constituency council is responsible for vetting the candidates, but what I want to know, what's the vetting mechanism, and if that vetting mechanism will actually vet the candidates on these core basis, core issues, that to be sure that there is sufficient congruence and alignment. Let us say Kirk switches from ULP and Kirk switches to NDP. What level of congruence and alignment with his values, his ideology, his party ideology, political ideology, etc., awareness of certain policy trends of the NDP vis-a-vis or compared to that with Labour. And and if somebody can easily switch from one party to the other, it goes with what I am saying. I have said this all along. ULP, NDP, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Unless there is sufficiency in terms of the substantive differences between NDP and ULP, such that a person does not very quickly switch from one to the other. And therefore, if there are, supposing that there are substantive differences and one can switch and one decides, I can change my colors, in a matter of a few years, then you begin to question how core someone who can make that switch, how core they are going to be. And I'm just speaking from a psychological perspective, because it seems to me that they have a measure of flexibility in them, that given the right circumstances, given the right occasion, that they can switch. Let me say that again. Given the right circumstances and given the right occasion, they can switch, because if one switch was made, then another switch was made. The first switch indicates that there is not a core commitment to something solid, that given the right circumstances, you can switch. That's a personality trait. If you have made that first switch, you already carry that within your disposition, that you don't have a core commitment to something solid. So given the right circumstances, you can switch again. So that is one layer. The second layer concerns optics. Optics in the sense that we are talking about the Maricopa constituency, yes, right? And you have Jimmy there, you have Kirk. I'm talking 5 years ago. And in a playoff between these two, it was deemed by those who know the constituency well, when both of them were on the Labour ticket, it is deemed that the person who will garner the most votes in that particular constituency, given the dynamics, given the fabric of the people, etc., because each constituency has its own little nuance. So given Maricopa constituency and all that obtains there, people within the ULP felt that the guy who will garner most votes in this constituency is Jimmy Prince. Kurt De Silva himself endorsed that. By the way, Kurt De Silva is a friend of mine. We went to grammar school every single form, from the day we entered to the day we left. We played chess together, all that other things. So don't read anything negative into what I'm saying. Just an optics thing, right? I like the guy on many fronts, okay? But I am saying in that constituency, the people there, the people who understand, have the political collateral, knew that Jimmy was going to garner more votes than Kirk, and Kirk himself even endorsed this. Now, which means that in that constituency, Kirk is a second place to Jimmy. Let me say that again. In that constituency, it has already been established that Kirk is second to Jimmy. And, I mean, the optics of putting someone, therefore, who is already second place to Jimmy, to run against Jimmy, is like you have a football team, and Rosie Ann's in front. Well, I don't know the name of the football team today, right? And a guy doesn't make it because he's not suitable. He doesn't feel like he could be a winner on this team, and you take him on the other team. You're not taking on someone who is a winner, and it is the whole notion that you're taking on someone who is second place to run against someone that we already established is first. I don't get that from that point of view being.
Cook couldn't beat Jimmy in the primaries, Pastor.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If
He
you can,
couldn't beat him in the primaries.
I don't get it. I don't get it. But being the third layer, and I might have to end here because I know how time goes, but the third layer, and I'm a thinking guy, I think, through all of this, but the more things change, the more they remain the same. And I had said a few weeks ago in one of my commentaries that for political purposes, I think you remember me saying this, for political purposes, it might not be the wisest thing to choose the best candidate in your constituency. And I see this being played out again. And I mean, at some point you have to have some kind of political wisdom, political insight, political shrewdness to know what matters in terms of winning an election. And when I did that commentary, I said, for example, you bring candidates who have substance and you say choose him, integrity or ability, experience, which Kirk has, and you know, his family, I know the family in Mexico there a long time, and so I'm not putting Kirk down, don't get me wrong, I'm not putting Kirk down. I am saying that sometimes for political expediency, right, for political purposes, it might not be the wisest thing to choose the best candidate in your constituency, but the democratic process does this. Sometimes it might be better because you want to win. Because I've understood that politics is not about what's right. Politics is not about what's best. Politics is not about what's solid and foundational. Politics is about winning. Politics is about popular vote, election, winning people popularity. Popularity, that's what politics is about. And because this is what, remember, and that is my problem with democratic politics, because it is really premised heavily on popularity, not on substance. And so the things that play well to this structure of politics that we have, the things that play well is things like likability over substance, or appeal over integrity, energy over, let us say, experience, youthfulness over efficiency and influence. These are the things that play to popularity. And it might be the wiser thing to pick a guy who is young, youthful, attractive, present more optics, has a different kind of energy, appeal, and likability. That is the pitfall of democratic. You take it, it comes with the game. So you have to, and so don't get so idealistic in choosing constituency candidates. Don't get so idealistic that you're looking for the things that don't win.
I've got an interesting response to you. Someone said, with all due respect to Pastor Dr. Richards, his analysis is a bit off. Kirk was second to Jimmy for Labour votes. If he garners all NDP votes, doesn't he offer the opportunity to pull away some of Jimmy's votes?
But let me respond to that really quickly, please. And again, you all have to understand that, see, as I spend teaching statistics and statistical analysis as part of the advanced level economic course, right? So I understand certain things about how, let me not go into that, but let me say this. Jimmy was chosen not because he could get the ULP vote in that constituency. Jimmy was chosen because at the end of the day, in a general election, you don't count who gets the most ULP votes. You count who gets the most votes in the constituency. And Jimmy was chosen because if you were to do, not in a primary runoff, but if you were to do in that constituency, who is likely to garner, that's why I said who is likely to garner most votes. For ULP, right? Let us go back 5 years ago. Who was likely to garner most votes? Not ULP votes, period, but who was likely to garner most votes in that constituency? It was felt like, Jimmy, for multiple reasons, not necessarily all related to substance, but for multiple reasons, Jimmy was going to be the guy that would garner most of the votes. ULP and otherwise. In an election, you don't really pick up the ballots and say, oh, this is a ULP ballot or this is an NDP. Everybody votes. Everybody votes. And you have to figure, 5 years ago, Jimmy was thought, by the ULP people, Jimmy was thought to be the one that will garner most votes in the Mariquah constituency. All right? And that is what you have to look at, right? What's that?
Which he did.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So, I mean, but being, let's just wrap it up here today, because it speaks a lot. If you dig deep, it will speak to our understanding of how to win an election. Let me say this again. If you dig deep, it will speak to our understanding of how to win an election. It is part of political psychology. I have said, and I try to dabble a little bit in psychology, so I know how you have sports psychology, you have educational, you have, political psychology. You have to know people, which is why 2 days ago when Lavon was on, I didn't want to chide her, but at the same time I wanted to say don't dismiss what data mining does and Cambridge Analytica, although you might not want them particularly, but you have to have people who understand the psychological makeup of the people and know how to either shape opinions. The better word is actually manipulate opinions, to be truthful, but you have to know how to shape opinions. You have to know how to give the people what they want. And dotting the I's and crossing the T's of the democratic process and honoring the council representative in that area might, be idealistic in that it champions democracy. But at the same time, you champion the democratic process and you end up... Ask James Mitchell, Sir James, the whole issue of Calder Williams one of these days if you have the chance, okay? And that's a shrewd politician. Ask James, he's shrewd. And he knew in the Calder Williams issue, he knew which candidate democratic process was going to put forward, and he knew which candidate was going to win. And he knew that there was a little bit of disconnect between when I say democratic process, the internal party democratic process, the candidate that they were going to put forward. He knew that if he allowed that democratic process to play its course in an idealistic fashion, he knew which candidate would come to the fore. But he also knew that Calder Williams was the man to capture the attention of the people. Now, that is somebody who understands psychology of the people and understands the psychology of politics. That's a guy who knows how to win. I don't like democracy for a number of reasons of this nature, but if you're going to play the democratic game, then please know how to operate the machinery. Have a good day.
Thank you, Doc. Thank you very much.
Let's check in with the Doc and look at things with a wider lens. Pastor Richards on OMG.